I'm pleased to welcome to the 2025 edition of Statehouse Conversations, Representative Kyle Pierce, Republican from Anderson, District 36.
Yeah.
Thanks for sitting down and taking some time with us. You got a one term under your belt. You know this place now backward and forward, right?
Exactly.
Not the rookie anymore.
Exactly.
Congratulations on your election. What's on your agenda this session?
Yeah, well, thanks first off for having me here. And there's a couple different items. One of them I'm really excited about is a public depository bill for counties, libraries, and school districts. A couple years ago, they were restricted on where they can invest CDs and other financial tools, and so I have a bill this year that allows them to kind of open up where they can invest, which means they'll get more for their dollar, which allows, especially as there's always pressure on local governments in terms of their funding. This is a small tool, but it's a powerful tool to make sure they can get as much as they can whenever they are doing those investments.
Because those could be a 1/4% here and a 1/4% there. Can really, when you're talking about those kinds of monies, that's significant.
Oh yeah, I mean, you talk at a county level, a couple, 2 or 3%. Over a couple years can end up being hundreds of thousands, if not millions, in things like rainy day funds or different kind of initiatives that they have. So it's one of those things where those investments are very important. And then, when you have good investments, you can kind of hold off on things like tax increases and things like that. So it's always something when we're talking about investments, we want to open up those opportunities, not be restrictive.
Makes sense. Talk about some of the other priorities you have this session.
Yeah, we have one on a DNA security bill. I actually had it last year with Senator Hunley. We're bringing it back. We got it through the Senate. We'll try to get it through the House this year. What that bill does is people that use things like 23andMe or Ancestry.com, those users, we want to make sure that they feel protected, that if you want to destroy your information after it's done, you can do that, and making sure that those companies that are in those DNA fields are protecting user information. 10, 20 years ago, Ancestry and 23andMe would have been cutting edge. We are now getting to a point where you can almost do this outside of a dorm room. And so we need to make sure the people who are in this space, that they're protecting people's data, because it could be sold and you don't want it to end up in bad hands.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but at this point, statutorily, they're really, once I subscribe to your testing service, you own my story, my life story, or my DNA.
Yeah, it's really kind of on the cutting edge of law where, 50 years ago, they weren't thinking about a DNA ancestry type companies, even 20 years ago. And so this is kind of a quiet space in the law. The federal government has not taken it up, and so state by state, states are taking initiatives on this, and so we're trying to add ourselves to that list.
This is why it's good to have young people who are on the cutting edge of these things, because we didn't have AI issues before, digitally altered images and campaign commercials. We didn't have these sorts of things, nor did we have cryptocurrency.
Oh, yes,
and I know you've, if you can explain it to me, then I'm your lowest common denominator. But let's suffice it to say, this would help create a more conducive atmosphere in Indiana for digital cryptocurrencies and that kind of exchange?
So I won't try to explain the complexity of Bitcoin and all that, but there are things called mining, and it's not physically in the ground, it's actually above ground, and it's using computers, and they use industrial locations and zoning locations to do this. And so you'll have hundreds, if not thousands, of computers that are doing the math formulas to get the cryptocurrency. And so it's, again, just like the DNA bill, it's an area, even 10 years ago, even really 5 years ago, but really 10 years ago, you were not thinking about this. And so now it's a new economy, it's a new business. And so the bill says is this: one, we want to be welcoming to digital currencies. And if you're a company that wants to open up a data mining or a digital mining business here, we'd love to have you. And so it means that locals can't target, hey, we don't want this specific industry. If you don't want to have industrial space, you don't have to have it. If you want to have, if you're concerned about energy usage or sound or whatever it may be, you don't have to have it. But if you are comfortable of having an industrial space and having different requirements, you can't just purposely say this specific industry I don't want. If you're comfortable with industry, be comfortable with all industries and don't target them.
And even though I don't know much about the particulars, I know enough to know that if Indiana were to bar the doors and say, don't come here, that would put this state at an economic disadvantage, it seems to me.
100%. This is one of the new industries that are coming up this century, and you don't want to deny them. If someone doesn't want to come here, that's totally fine. If a local community says we don't want to have certain industry here, that's okay in terms of, hey, we don't want to have certain sound or data usage, that's fine. But just to close the door because it's the new guy in town, let's not be like that.
Very good. Well, Kyle Pierce, Anderson Republican, District 36. Yeah. Thank you for taking time out to talk about some of the priorities for you this session, and I applaud your commitment to the state of Indiana and your commitment to public service.
Thank you very much.
And so be eager to see how the next 4 months turn out. But thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.